Hello. Hello. Am I audible? Thank you for confirming.
ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವನು ಚಂದೇಶ್ ಬರ್ತಾನೆ, ಚಂದೇಶ್.
Recording in progress.
ಕಿರೀಟಿ ನಾನಲ್ಲ ಶರ್ವ ಇಲ್ಲ I made it. I'm there, but I'm not able to see anyone.
Recording in progress.
Okay. You guys are able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello.
Sir, good morning.
I'm able to hear you, Gyan.
Yeah,
I'm trying to see if participants are able to hear me. Okay. Okay. Sounds good. I think if you guys are able to hear us, you should raise your hands. Okay. It's just a delay. Probably, Gyan, you should also speak and see if the delay is from your side too.
Am I audible properly?
Okay. I think they are able to hear, I assume. Good morning to everyone, and welcome to this very interesting session around IPR management. Right. So, uh, just to give a bit of a context, IPR from the university has multiple dimensions, as you know. You may want to protect your IP because you just want to go and create a startup or monetize your innovation. Or you want to create an IP from the perspective of just uh, ensuring that your idea is always protected for whatever reason and you have uh, your name on that innovation. Or it could be trademarks, it could be copyrights, or it could even be trade secrets. Right? So there are multiple dimensions and there are multiple usages. And to uncover this mystery, we have Gyanveer, who works a lot with Co-Create on all our IP related activities. So just to set the context here, Gyanveer will take you through some of the aspects of IPR, and then we will see how best we can integrate with your college process. That will come back to you and tell you how to go about doing this. But the most important thing as part of this session is feel free to ask questions, right? So I think I would request, I mean, even if we delay it by a few more minutes, it's okay. I request organizers to have a mic there by which we'll be able to hear the question, or even if someone takes all the questions and types it, whatever way is okay. Or you can do one thing, you can just send me questions on WhatsApp. Any questions that you want to ask, you can just WhatsApp me. My number is 98452 98452 56878. Right? 98452 56878. If any of you wants to ask any questions, feel free to send me the question. I will ask Gyanveer about it. The idea is to make it as informative as possible. The whole, if you have any questions, no question is wrong. Please feel free to ask us, and you can ask us anytime that you want. You can just post me a question. I'll be happy to ask Gyanveer to take that. Right? So you guys are able to hear us. Please raise your hands once so that I am clear that you are able to hear us. People in the end, are you able to hear us? Okay, cool. Yeah, you should also do a check, mic check.
Yeah, so maybe similar to what Suresh sir is doing. If you can raise hand if you're listening my sound, especially people in the back. Can you hear me? Please raise your hand once again for the last time. Okay, thank you. Thanks for confirming. And it's a pleasure connecting with you all here. I would like to give a special thanks to Suresh sir for inviting me here and giving opportunity to connect with you all. As Suresh sir mentioned, we will be touching base about basic IPRs, what forms of IPR exist, and how different forms of IPR can help you as students, faculty, startups, or even when you are academicians, university, or when you are a full-fledged company. Uh, Everyone has different take on IP. I'll be trying to cover mostly from academia perspective for today. But if any one of you want to explore other perspective of IP, I'll be happy to answer. Feel free to raise your hand and ask question anytime in between. Co-Create Venture, as I said, has been working actively on protecting inventions and different form of IPs for universities related and anyone involved in the ecosystem. So you can be a startup, you can be a student, you can be part of the academic community. So we have a strong relation with Co-Create Venture, and we have been helping them protect IPs, and we are sort of one team now. So if you have any question for Co-Create Venture or in general on IP, feel free to ask me or Suresh in between. So IP, as they said, intangible asset or intellectual property. I will start with basic concepts and take you through a balance sheet. So if you had seen balance sheet of any company, you must have seen a valuation of the company, or maybe this company is valued this much, this billion or this $1 million, or maybe in rupees. And you may have wondered from where these valuations are coming from. If you go and check their balance sheet, you will realize hardly 20 to 25% of that valuation come from the tangible asset that they own. So tangible assets are nothing but the, let's say, land, building, the hardware infrastructure, anything that you can really feel by your eyes. Those are called tangible assets. Um, so as I say, hardly 20 to 25% of the valuation come from the tangible assets. Where are rest of the valuation are coming from? And the answer is it comes from the intangible asset that the company own. Intangible assets are nothing but different forms of IP that we'll be talking today, maybe at high level. So these intangible assets, also called intellectual property, sometimes interchangeably, though it has different meaning if you go in detail. But for now, let's consider them equal. So intellectual property have different forms: trade secret, trademark, copyright, design, patents. There might be geographical indication, but I will avoid that for today's context. So let's just start with trade secret. What is a trade secret? If any company or any individual have a best method of doing something, and they decide that I don't want to disclose it to anyone, I want to keep it within myself or a limited set of people, they keep it as trade secret. Trade secrets are protected mostly through contractual obligations and contracts. Whoever signs this contract, they are not supposed to disclose the trade secret outside the company. um, Company take a calculative decision to decide whether they want some information to be trade secret, or they want to file and protect in different forms of IP that exist. Uh, let's take example of Coca-Cola formulation. So Coca-Cola formulation has been trade secret for a very long time. Company decided to keep it trade secret, although they may have filed for a patent application on this formulation, but they decided not to do that. I will tell you the reason maybe later when we talk about the patents, but for now, uh, trade secrets can be protected for as long as you are able to protect the information within a limited set of people. But if any one of these people disclose that information, you have a limited legal tools available to chase them and then protect your trade secret. Other than contractual violation, there are not much codified law, especially in India, to protect trade secrets. So many time company has to take this calculative decision whether they want to keep that information as a trade secret or they want to file a patent or protect in form of other IP. Similarly, KFC recipe that has been trade secret with the company for a very long time. How they come up with a particular taste, crispy, and that color, everything, the combination of maybe materials that they use had been protected through trade secret and contractual obligation. This has a very long life. For example, Coca-Cola formulation has been trade secret for more than a century. But once anyone disclose it, there are competitors who are able to make use of it, and then your competitive advantage is gone. So people decide to keep trade secret because of the competitive advantage, but there is a higher risk, especially in countries like India, where we don't have codified law to protect trade secret. Uh, Now we'll shift to trademark. Trademark is another form of IP that is mostly given for your brand protection. So if you have anything that allow a common people to relate your product and service with that particular, let's say, logo, smell, sound, etc. These are trademark for you. Giving some example, all these logo that you see, Pamper, Subway, of Cat, these are all trademark for this company. These are symbols. It may be a name, it may be a logo. Sometimes it may be a fragrance itself. So if you hear some fragrance, you can recognize, okay, which brand this fragrance is coming from. That particular smell itself is a trademark for the company. Similarly, if you hear window booting up, or for example, a notification coming on iPhone device, you can recognize, okay, somewhere there is an iPhone device has received a notification. That sound becomes a trademark for that company. So anything in general which allow you to relate a product or service with one entity can be trademark for them. Uh, Now let's shift to copyright. Copyright is generated or copyright is granted on when you convert your thought into some tangible form. Meaning you may have different intellectual creation, but when you convert and put it in tangible form, that means when you put in writing, you may have certain thought, you write that thought in some form in certain language, maybe an essay, a blog, or a book, anything that you write, it becomes a copyrighted material. Similarly, many of you may be writing source code, computer programs. These are all protected through copyright. Someone composing a music, it is protected through copyright. Someone drawing something, that drawing is protected through copyright. So these are all different creation, again converted into some tangible form. On that, you get copyright. Now I will talk more about patents. So patent is something when you disclose your invention or intellectual creation to public and it solves a technical problem and has a technical solution, you qualify would be only in India. If someone do the same invention and make a product in another country, you will not be able to protect uh, to file a case of infringement against that person because he is in another country. If you were interested in protecting your invention in that country, there are different formal routes through which you can protect your invention in multiple countries. We can talk about that later. But for now, we need to understand that patent or any IP right that you have, and I talked about just now, are very much territorial in nature. That means wherever you have filed for your protection, you would be protected only in that country. You may file in multiple country and you will be protected in those multiple countries. If you're not filing in these specific countries individually, then your protection would be limited to whichever country you have filed. These rights are also called monopoly right. They call it monopoly because if someone is trying to use or make use of your invention, they cannot do that without your permission. They have to take permission from you first, and then they can use it by paying you some royalty or some licensing fee. Then they can use your invention to make further products. uh, for what kind of idea you get a patent? I keep getting this question very frequently, so I thought I will spend some time here on that one. So any idea that has to get a patent, it should be novel. Novelty is judged globally. So if someone has submitted a similar idea anywhere in the world, your idea, if you're submitting after that, would not get a patent. Your novelty is destroyed. If someone has even written a blog about the similar technology that you are trying to get a patent on, you will not get a patent because the information is already part of public domain. And once it becomes a public domain, your novelty is destroyed. So anything that you invent, it is very important that you protect that invention as soon as possible. That's why there is a very important concept that we need to understand about first to file. It may happen that you and your colleague may be working on a similar R&D objective, and you may have come up with the invention first, but your colleague, let's say, filed that patent first, and he did not borrow from you, he didn't stole that invention from you, but he parallelly conceived that invention. He may have conceived that after you, but he filed a patent before you. Government will give protection to that person whoever filed first. So it's very important to file at least a provisional as soon as you have your idea conceptualized and you want to build on top of it. So that's where the importance of priority comes. So you need to file as soon as possible. Um, then there is a second aspect of patentability, which is non-obviousness. Your idea should not be mere combination of existing thing. It should not be obvious to a person in the art. If it sounds very obvious to a person who's skilled in the art, and if it's just a mere combination, we will again not get a patent. Uh, Giving one example, what kind of idea can be termed non-obvious or obvious? So let's say there was a remote control that was invented, and this remote control was invented to control TV. What is the background technology about remote control? There is a IR emitter in it on your remote, and there is a transceiver on the TV. In when you press certain button, it emits a IR code that gets received and interpreted on the TV, and TV takes some action. It switch on and off, the volume up and down, change the channel based on those IR codes. Now I come and say, I have invented a remote control to control a setup box. Should I get a patent on this? Because no one may have done it for setup box. So my novelty criteria might be qualified. It might sound novel, but when it comes to obviousness aspect, someone will say it's very obvious because the underlying technology remains same. So you will not get a patent because your remote control for controlling setup box is technically not different from a remote control for controlling TV, and I will not get a patent on that kind of idea. So these are two very important aspects when you are trying to submit anything for getting a patent. We need to evaluate whether it is novel. That means if your idea has not been submitted anywhere in the world and is not available in public domain, you qualify the novelty criteria. If it is not a mere combination, it may qualify non-obviousness criteria, and you can get a patent. For any idea to get a patent, there is a third requirement called industrial application. It should have a valid industrial application. It should have some uses, then only you will get a patent. Let me pause it for now and see if there is any question, because I think I quickly covered different form of IP and then patent in more detail.
I don't have any questions, but if any of the students have the questions, please ask. It's okay, you can ask in As I said, don't worry. Any question is good, right? Please feel free to ask. Either you can send me message or you can ask them there. Sir, anyone? I mean, is there an arrangement for microphone there?
Also, if I can get a validity on uh, whether I'm presenting it at very high level, should I go in more detail about each of the aspect, or the level of presentation is okay for you?
If one of you can answer, sir, if one of you can answer, even the teachers, it will help. How is it going? Sir, we are not able to hear you. Sir, can you ask if there are any questions? And can you type it here? Any questions? We think if they don't have any questions, they're not sure whether they are following. Any questions they have at this point, or any examples they have, and ask, can it be patented? Anything is okay.
Yeah, for now, I think they're saying it's okay, we can continue. Maybe if they have questions, they can ask later as well.
Okay, sir, continue.
Yep. As I was mentioning, to get a patent, your idea has to have a technical problem, and the solution has to be technical in nature. Many times we get a business proposal, and people ask, "Can I protect this?" Uh, the answer is no. The business proposition or the business method itself cannot be patented. But when you convert this business method into some tangible form or through some machine, let's say, for example, a concept of credit card, right? So concept of credit card, if someone say, okay, I have come up with a concept of allowing people to borrow money from me, expense on for themselves, and they can pay me later after 30 days. That concept cannot be patented. Let's say someone come with that concept for the first time. Even though they come up with the concept of first time, it cannot get a patent. How it can get a patent? You convert into some technical solution. So you say, okay, I'm issuing a credit card which has a electromagnetic strip on it that store my credential, my identification, who is spending how much, and it gets linked to a server that store a ledger, distributed or maybe centralized ledger to keep track of all the transactions that I'm doing. Then it becomes a technical solution for enabling the business method to happen, and then it becomes a patentable solution. So you have to have a technical problem and a technical solution to get a patent. Why I'm emphasizing that? Because many times when we receive query about patents, people in general come up with a high level business idea. And if they ask me directly, my first answer would be no. But they should not be discouraged by listening the no first. They need to understand that, okay, this no is for business method per se. And if I convert that into some form of a technical solution, there is still a chances that I can get a patent on. Getting a patent is not a big deal, believe me or not. I have more than 40 patents, that to US patents. 20 of them are granted by now. Uh, Most of these are technical in nature, but there are certain inventions that are on toothpicks, for example. So people has filed a patent on toothpick, which is nothing but a pointed wooden stick that help you remove something that is stuck in your tooth, right? The design of it, the particular shape of it, they have filed a patent on. So you may have any utility, and if you have a specific utility, it solves a specific problem. it can qualify for a patent. Now, the second question that I keep getting is why should I file for a patent? The answers are manifold and it depends on who you are. If you are an individual inventor, people need to know that you have invented this first. This is your invention, this is your baby. You need to put your name as an inventor there. So it's very much required for your own identity, maybe in future, that people know you and recognize you. For that reason, you should file for a patent. Now, it's not only for the namesake, it has a monetary value as well and a business advantage as well. So, if you protect your patent and your invention, no one would come and develop the same thing without your permission. That means you have somehow avoided a competition coming very close to you. That means you have chance to grow and make your product available in market and gain some tangible returns out of your invention. uh, let's say for some reason you are not interested in making the product and running your own company in future, you can license this patent to someone else who might be interested in doing that. That can again give you a return. And remember that when you even sell the patent, you are just selling your ownership. You are not selling your inventorship, right? So your name as an inventor will be there forever. Whoever's own the patent, your name as an inventor would be there. So let's say you invented it, your university file it, they become owner. The university may grant or sell this patent to some company, they became the owner, but your name as an inventor will remain forever in that patent. People will recognize that you have come up with this idea, this is your invention, and the monetary benefit may belong to the company who owns this patent now. So one is fame and glory. Then different companies, universities, government institutions, they have their internal program for recognition and rewards. It may depend on what reward policy or recognition policy you may have, but even a state level or central level, if you are a prolific inventor, there are certain rewards and recognition. So you may aim for that as well. As I said, you will become an inventor forever. Now, another type of question that I get is how will I know whether it is patentable or not? So, these are certain scenarios that illustrate what kind of thing can be patented. What is the qualification for getting a patent? We talked earlier. Now, from where you get the ideas or what kind of idea can be patented, the slides cover that. So the first that you see is complex creation. If you observe this is doing nothing but it's a napkin that clean your mouth once you have eaten. This is a very complex arrangement for doing a simple task. If you have this complex creation, it may get a patent because no one will come up with this complex arrangement for cleaning the mouth. It qualifies the novelty, it qualifies the non-business aspect, it has a utility, you will get a patent. Will this patent be valuable? The answer is might be not very valuable because design around of this solution is very easy. If a competitor wants to come up with a similar solution, he can come up with a solution without this much complex arrangement. He solved the same problem but with a very less complex arrangement. Maybe the chances of his product surviving and thriving is more than this complex arrangement, although this get a patent. So we need to see getting a patent itself should not be the purpose. It should be a valuable patent and it should be covering broadly the aspects that provide the solution. So if you put everything, normally when we talk about claims, if I put every elements of this in my claim, the chances that I will get that claim allowed, but whether this claim would be good for me in future or not, the answer is no, because someone can design around very easily. So we need to be careful about this, protecting this kind of invention. Where we find more value is on incremental improvement. And a lot of ideas that we have seen are on incremental improvements. So, and the wheel that you see here, if you remember, I'm sure everyone has studied the history, the wheel was invented very long back. And when it was invented first, it was a stone wheel. And at that time, if patenting system was there, someone could have got a patent on this stone wheel, because no one has developed or designed anything like a wheel in past. It helped humankind to carry load very efficiently, by just putting some animal to carry this or move this. But someone may have realized, okay, moving this stone wheel is requiring a lot of energy, and I need either two or three horse or maybe elephant to move this. It's a very energy inefficient design. So someone may have come up with a concept of how I can make it lighter. So someone said, okay, instead of let's say stone wheel, can I make it a wooden wheel? And then have designed this wooden wheel. It worked and it made it much lighter. It made the energy requirement much less, and people was able to carry the load. Someone identified the problem further. They said this is wooden wheel get destroyed in 2 3 seasons because of the rain and sun heat. So I need to give it more strength. So someone put a metallic strip around this wooden wheel. And if some of you belongs to village area, you may have seen this wheel even today. So they have a metallic strip around this that give it a strength. It holds the wood for very long time, and it made it more lighter because people remove the wood in between and they put this as spokes in between. So they made some improvement. A patenting system was there, they could have qualified for a patent. Now, if someone further identify that, okay, this again get destroyed, give me a very bumpy ride if it is running on road. So someone said, okay, rubber has been invented at that time parallelly in some other industry. It has some other usage, but they say if I put a rubber-like material around my tire, maybe my ride would be much smoother. And that's where the concept of tire came into picture. So someone put a tire around it, the wheel itself, but there is a tire around it, and that tire made our speed faster, our ride much smoother, and that could have qualified for a patent. And even today, we get to see a lot of patent being filed on these wheels and especially on this tire. They identify problem related to aerodynamics, the quality of this material. So they keep inventing different aspect of it and file patents on it. Why I'm saying this is more valuable, there is requirement which is clearly demonstrated. People are ready to buy this kind of improvements very easily, and you have a market ready invention. Uh, but these are not something extraordinary invention, I will say. These are incremental improvements. But 90%, 95% of the patent that we see would be under this category, incremental improvements. Now, in some sector, especially in pharmaceutical industry and chemical industry, we see unexpected result type of invention. So people can combine two existing, let's say, element, and they may come up with a formulation that solves a different disease. Two of these elements might have existed independently, but the combination is giving a new cure. That finding itself can be patented. The combination of how much of which element you combine at what temperature, for how long, all these specific details of combining these existing things can become a patentable subject matter. And this has its own value. Okay, so I covered, if any of your idea belongs to any of these category, please come forward and try to submit an invention disclosure we can convert into a patentable invention. Now I can talk about the patent process and the timeline. So normally when you have an invention disclosure, you will be talking to your, let's say, manager, or you'll be talking to your supervisor or your professor, and they will review your idea. If they are convinced that there is a novelty in it, they may approach people like us who work in patent industry, and they understand the process and how to draft the patent application. they will approach us, and then what we do further is we will further do a patentability search. We will conduct a thorough search to just ascertain that whether this invention is patentable or not. But if there is a time crunch, what we can do immediately is file a provisional application. So as soon as you give me your invention, and if you are going to publish, let's say, a paper, or you're going to attend a conference where you're going to talk about this invention, it's better that you file a provisional first before publishing your paper or talking it publicly in any conference. Once you submit a provisional, your date is established. You get 1 year timeline to file a non-provisional. In India, we call it complete application or complete specification. So within 1 year, you can work with your attorney or internally to make a complete application and file it within 1 year. If you file it within 1 year, your priority date would be the date of the provisional filing. That is a beauty that our law has given us, and it protects and gives a lot of freedom to inventors and R&D people to mature their invention and still get the priority that of the first disclosure. Once the complete specification is filed, the your application would get published after 18 months. And during that process, you can either request for examination or you can wait for examination request. In India, it is 48 months within which you need to request for examination. In certain countries like US and all, you may file for, or you have to file for request of examination and publication at the time of filing itself. If you do that, your application goes in the queue of examiner, and they will examine because they may have received multiple application of similar type. So they have a long queue. As soon as your turns come, they will examine and issue you office action response. So if you see here, first office action is issued maybe around 2 year period. So in office action, what they do, the examiner from the government appointed examiner, they will again evaluate your idea, and if they find something similar, they will object to your patent grant. They will say, I cannot grant you this patent. You need to give me clarity what is your invention as compared to these prior arts that exist. And if you are able to convince him through writing and maybe through sometime through telecall, uh, if they are convinced, they will grant you a patent. That normally takes up to 3 years in India, though the patent office is working to make the duration strong. There are alternatives way by which you can faster your process. There are some additional fee that you can pay, and if you qualify for expedited examination, then you can request for expedited examination, and you can get a patent within 1 year of filing as well by paying some additional fee. Priority examination can be done. Once your patent is granted, you enjoy monopoly for 20 years. The 20 year is calculated from date of your priority. So you get to enjoy your monopoly for 20 years. After 20 years, anyone can use it even without your permission. So that's the entire timeline of the patent. Anyone, any question? Or maybe I will pause for now. I think I covered many of the things that I wanted to talk. Suresh, it's going one way, I think. So maybe we can do an interactive session where maybe you can ask some specific questions or which you think could be relevant for academic community. I will try to answer those. Maybe that way it will be more interactive. Hello. I'll be happy to take any question from the professors, students, or whoever is present there.
Any? Okay. Uh, I think, Gyanveer, if there are no questions,
Mhm.
I think I want to. I think instead of them, I'll try to ask you a couple of questions so that we can
Sure,
just
I think
make
that would be relevant. Maybe you can ask
right, right,
questions relevant for
right,
academic.
right. See, one of
Okay.
the challenge that normally students and faculties have,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which we always try to fight even here, as you know, is they are not sure how much of the information is required before they apply for the patent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So many times they try to get their prototype or product ready till they come to
Mm-hmm.
you, right? So
Right.
obviously, I mean, I want you to stress how important it is for them to file the provisional patent at the earliest.
Yes, it's very much essential. So the basic maybe qualification I will say when you should approach people like me is if you have conceptualized your product in your mind, you know what is your purpose, what is the technical problem that you're solving, and what is your solution going to look like. If you have that in your mind, you put that on paper, you don't have to implement it, you do not have to develop a prototype. It should be a feasible solution that theoretically you can just demonstrate through writing. That is good enough for us to file a provisional. It should cover a solution at high level. I do not need all the details and it's a step one by one. Maybe if you have a high level solution, that is a technical solution again, you can file a provisional. It is very essential to protect your date of provisional because there might be other people who are parallelly working on that kind of invention. And
Right,
if you don't file, they may file a provisional and they will get a priority. And it would be very hard for us to prove. And even the law doesn't allow now. In certain country, it used to be first to invent. If you had diary and other proofs that can establish your first to invent right could have been established, you could have still got certain rights. But now almost in all the countries that we are working with, they have first to file approach. And the
right,
first to file approach is asking the inventors or whoever is working on any invention to file a provisional as soon as you have basic idea about your invention, you have a demonstrable solution. Again, I want to emphasize it need not to wait for a prototyping, it need not wait for each step to be crystal clear. You file a provisional if you have basic idea about your solution and the problem.
right. And guys, okay, I mean, I just want to further emphasis on this, Gyanveer. The moment
Sure.
you have an idea, right, please don't delay it for any reason. The moment you have an idea and just a high level solution, please start working on your provisional patent. And in fact, working on provisional patent should not take more than a day, if you ask me, right? So please don't worry, details will work on as you progress, right? I mean, that's where provisional patent is meant for. You may not have all the details. What's important is the clarity in terms of what is that you want to patent about, right? And the technical, I mean, high level feasibility. So even if you think it's a 10% feasible, right? Don't worry, go and apply for it, is what I will say. I will take another extreme case, right? So even if you think 10% feasible, please go and apply for it because won't, I mean, this is something which you can manage commercially. That's one point that I wanted to take. And second thing, Gyanveer, I want to tell them is there is always a question in terms of whether to publish a paper and patent, right? Should I publish a paper or patent? Many times, this is one of the questions that the students have.
Yeah,
Again,
go ahead,
yeah,
sir.
please. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so on that, I will say first file for a provisional. If you have every detail, maybe you can file a complete as well. It doesn't take, as sir said, it doesn't take more than a day even for us to file a provisional. Um, why it is required, let's say you don't want to pursue that patent in future, and when there might be chances where you may want to, but if you publish your paper, it becomes part of public domain, and after publishing the paper, if you want to file for a patent, the same paper would be cited by the examiner saying it is part of public domain, and you will not get a patent citing your own paper. After filing a patent, you can always publish a paper. No one is stopping, and you can do both. But you first need to file a provisional or complete patent application first.
Right. So, guys, hope you heard it. If you are working on any of the papers today, there's a very high chance that the paper can also become patent. The difference between patent and paper is there is hardly any monetization opportunity for paper unless unless this paper establishes the technology that you are building, right? So, which is a different case. But even otherwise, I strongly recommend if you are working on a paper, there is a very high chance that that can become patent, which is monetizable, right? So please do approach us this one, right? So to approach the IP laws. This is the second point that I wanted to tell. The rest of it, I think it's very clear. I mean, just to uh, set the context right. If there are any patentable ideas which can become startups, do reach out to us, right? I mean, you can. Reach out to us through all the contacts which your professors have, or you can just come to co-create ventures and reach out to us saying that you are from BLDE. So we have an agreement already in place with BLDE to support that. A and B. In the meanwhile, we will again work with your college to create a process to help you with this patenting and other stuff, right? So what will integrate with your internal process, and because this is one of our one of the investment for the patent for the companies that we are funding will always come from our side. The stuff it will discuss. So, right, that's the point I wanted to say, and then thanks a ton, and let's
Yeah, maybe
close it.
just some last pointers I will add. There are a lot of incentive programs that you have from government that you should get benefit, especially in Karnataka. If you have registered a startup entity, there are financial incentives and support that the government provide for filing and protecting patents. Similarly, central government has its own scheme. If you are a university, you qualify for 80% discount on filing fee. So there are a lot of encouragement. I'm sure as a professor and academic community member, you must be aware about the point system. So each professors get different points when their patent are published or when it's granted. So it helps you build your career as well. I just wanted to bring that aspect as well. I think we missed that during the conversation. Suresh, sir, you may just want to have a concluding remark. Okay, I think we are good with what we've presented. Again, reach out to Suresh or me if you have any question specific to IP. Suresh can help you with setting up your company or maybe any startup support that you need to co-create venture. Thanks everyone for attending this call and being a wonderful audience.